So Camilla Parker Bowles is the Queen Consort of England, wearing a crown and living in a palace, and yet her own son was physically turned away at the gates of Windsor Castle on her husband's watch, and the man who gave that order was Prince William. That's where this story starts, and honestly, it gets so much more layered from there because this wasn't a scheduling conflict or a security mix-up. This was a deliberate, calculated decision by the future king to draw a line in the sand about who belongs inside the royal circle and who doesn't. And the person on the other side of that line was his father's wife. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and join us here at Crown Watch because we're tracking all of this as it unfolds. So let's go straight to the night everything boiled over, which was supposed to be this magnificent evening of royal elegance at Windsor Castle, the Windsor Charity Gala, dignitaries everywhere, aristocrats, global benefactors, the whole polished production designed to show the monarchy at its most unified and majestic. And Camilla had been working behind the scenes to make sure her eldest son, Tom Parker Bowles, would be included among the honored guests. Now, Tom Parker Bowles isn't some stranger to royal circles. He's a well-known food critic and author who spent years attending family events, just never in an official capacity, never formally acknowledged as part of the royal apparatus. And Camilla, now that she's Queen Consort, felt it was time to bring her children into the fold properly, starting with Tom's participation in high-profile royal occasions. She made her request. She pushed for it. She even got King Charles involved, thinking her husband would persuade his son to see reason. But William saw the situation completely differently. This wasn't a private dinner or an informal family gathering. This was a regal occasion steeped in history and symbolism, and William believes symbolism matters more than almost anything else. He understands that every photograph, every seating arrangement, every name on a guest list sends a signal about who the monarchy values and who it does not. So when the guest list was finalized, Tom Parker Bowles' name was not on it, and Camilla was stunned. She pleaded, she negotiated, she went through every channel available to her, and William simply refused to bend. Then came the actual night of the gala. Guests in sparkling gowns and tailored suits arriving at Windsor's gates, cameras flashing, limousines gliding through, and Tom Parker Bowles reportedly attempted to enter with his mother's entourage. What happened next is the part that's hard to imagine happening to the son of a queen. Security authorities, acting on clear instructions, denied him access. Eyewitnesses described this moment of genuine awkwardness, Tom's visible shock, the silence, the humiliation of being softly turned away, while everyone else swept past him into the castle. Inside, Camilla had to stand there smiling, for the cameras, waving, performing the role of gracious consort while absorbing what was probably the most personal and public insult she's received since becoming queen. People who were there said her jaw was clenched, her hands trembling slightly. For the first time in years, she looked vulnerable rather than majestic. This wasn't a subtle snub handled discreetly behind closed doors. This was a public slap delivered at the gates of Windsor Castle, with the whole world watching. And when the gala ended and the last guest had left, and the cameras stopped flashing, that's when Camilla reportedly fell apart. Sources who witnessed the aftermath described her dropping into a chair inside those majestic walls, her composure completely shattered, teary-eyed, deeply humiliated, not just as queen, but as a mother. One staff member later said it was the look in her eyes that stayed with them, not anger at first, but complete disbelief, like she genuinely couldn't believe William had actually done it. But he did. He gave the order. Her son was denied admittance to a royal gathering she had personally helped organize, and in doing that, William built a harsh and unbreakable barrier between Camilla's family and the monarchy's inner circle. Camilla reportedly said to her aides afterward, "I thought we were past this, I thought we were family." And that line right there tells you everything about the gap between what she believed her position meant and what William was willing to allow. She had assumed the title of Queen Consort would finally grant her children the acceptance she had spent decades hoping for, but William's actions proved that titles and tiaras do not rewrite history. Now, to understand why William took such a hard line, you have to go back not just to his royal training, but to the emotional foundation of his entire identity, and that foundation is his mother, Princess Diana. Her presence may have vanished from the world in 1997, but for William, she never left. Her spirit, her values, her wounds have stayed with him every single day since. More than any royal title, Diana shaped the future King of England. William wasn't just the heir to the throne from birth, he was also the son of a woman adored by millions who had been betrayed by the very institution he was supposed to one day lead. As a kid, he watched his mother get consumed by the cold machinery of royalty. He watched the media tear her apart. He overheard whispers about Camilla, about betrayal, about secrets concealed behind palace doors. Then she was gone in one horrible night, and that kind of loss etches something permanent into a person. For William, it created a quiet but absolutely unwavering mission. Never let what happened to Diana happen again. Not to his wife, not to his kids, not on his watch, and if he could prevent it, he would not submit to the version of monarchy that destroyed her. He would honor his mother's legacy not through public outrage, but through measured, ethical, deliberate decisions. So where does Queen Camilla fit into that emotional map? No matter how hard the royal press worked to rehabilitate her image, William would never forget who she had been in his mother's story. She wasn't simply Charles's longtime companion. She was the woman who stood between his mother and the marriage that was supposed to anchor the kingdom. Yes, William has shown signs of acceptance over the years. He's exchanged smiles, handshakes, pleasant mentions, and speeches. He even supported Camilla's elevation to queen consort following Elizabeth II's death. But insiders say those gestures were always diplomatic armor rather than genuine affection. Behind the scenes, his relationship with Camilla has been chilly, cautious, quietly strained. He considered her presence essential to his father's happiness, but never as a foundation of the monarchy's future. And as Camilla's role grew, the line between tolerance and trust became sharper and clearer. She progressed from Duchess of Cornwall to Queen Consort. Her name started appearing in headlines alongside Elizabeth's and even Diana's. That was the line William couldn't let her cross. Diana wasn't just a mother, she was a legacy. And in William's view, that legacy was continuously being rewritten, sanitized, softened to make room for the woman who had caused her so much pain. So Camilla's push to include her family in royal functions, starting with Tom Parker Bowles, was never just a logistical issue to him. It was deeply personal, allowing Camilla's son to appear alongside blood royals in portraits, on guest lists, at charity galas, felt like the final erasure of Diana's sacrifice. William reportedly said it wasn't about Tom personally, it was about what Tom represented, a quiet attempt to legitimize a lineage that in William's view simply did not belong. And here's the thing about how William operates. Multiple palace sources said his expression barely changed when he declined Camilla's request. He didn't raise his voice, he didn't debate, he just said no. When questioned, he reportedly said, "This isn't about the guest list, it's about what we stand for." That has always been William's compass, not personal vendettas, but values. He sees himself as both the crown's future guardian and the ultimate steward of his mother's dignity. So when he closed the gates of Windsor on Camilla's son, it wasn't an act of cruelty. It was a demonstration of conviction, an unspoken message for Camilla and for the world that Diana still matters, her legacy is still alive, and no one, not even a queen, will be able to rewrite that truth for as long as William lives. But what happened next is where the story moves from a single dramatic night into something much more systematic. Because if the Windsor Gala was a public slap, what followed was a cold and deliberate blow aimed even deeper into Queen Camilla's personal world. Only weeks after Camilla was left reeling from the humiliation of her son being turned away, Prince William's administration made another decision. This time it wasn't about guest lists or charity appearances, it was about money, legacy, and power, and it involved someone even closer to Camilla than the media typically realizes, her sister Annabel Elliot. For nearly 2 decades, Annabel had quietly played an important role within the royal household. She's a well-known interior designer who oversaw the refurbishment and aesthetic modernization of numerous properties inside the Duchy of Cornwall, the vast royal estate traditionally controlled by the heir to the throne. Annabel was appointed during King Charles's reign as Duke of Cornwall, and her work covered scores of high-value projects, everything from restoring ancient cottages to curating luxury rental residences throughout Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. She earned her keep and earned it well. According to financial records, Annabel received hundreds of thousands of pounds in payments over the years preceding Charles's accession, including a substantial sum of around £25,000 in just one fiscal year for her design services. But when Charles became king in September of 2022, that authority and financial control transferred to Prince William. And William wasted absolutely no time redrawing the boundaries. According to royal financial documents and inside sources, William decided not to renew Annabel Elliot's long-term contract for the fiscal year covering 2023 to 2024. No fanfare, no official announcement, just a simple omission, a line through her name, and just like that, Camilla's family was officially removed from the royal payroll. The public might have perceived it as a minor administrative decision, some routine budget trimming, but inside the palace, it was seismic. This was Camilla's last remaining line of family influence within the monarchy's actual operations. Her son had been refused royal recognition. Now, her sister, who had worked with the duchy for nearly 20 years, was separated from the inner workings of royal infrastructure. Her position, her income, her prestige, gone with a stroke of a pen. The timing couldn't have been worse for Camilla personally. Annabelle had been by her side at every crucial moment, from her earliest social appearances all the way through the coronation, where she proudly served as a coronation attendant. Their bond, forged over decades of shared scrutiny and survival, served as a genuine personal anchor for the Queen Consort, watching her sister set aside not for wrongdoing or incompetence, but simply because William deemed her presence unnecessary, was devastating. Palace insiders confirmed that Camilla was deeply distressed by the move. One even stated directly that it wasn't about the money, it was about the message. Her family is no longer welcome in the new kingdom. William, for his part, maintained complete silence. Official sources offered the explanation that the duchy had matured under new leadership and that staff had learned enough under Annabelle's mentorship to operate independently. But very few people actually believed it was simply a matter of efficiency. This was personal. It was another reinforcement of William's invisible barrier around the core monarchy, signaling that bloodline and tradition take precedence over personal connections, regardless of how long you've served or who you're related to. Camilla understood the pattern now. First her son, then her sister. Each quiet rejection was more than a snub. It was a brutal but systematic reassertion of William's influence within the royal family structure. And this is where the larger strategy becomes visible. William's decision to exclude Tom Parker Bowles from the Windsor Charity Gala wasn't a spontaneous reaction to a guest list request. It was part of a carefully planned long-term approach that has been quietly evolving since Queen Elizabeth II's death. While the monarchy outwardly projected unity and seamless succession, William was carrying out something far more intentional, redrawing the royal boundaries and defining the institution on his own terms. His plan is fundamentally about control, not just tradition. Since becoming Prince of Wales, William has had to navigate an increasingly complicated royal landscape, a father who keeps trying to balance personal love with public duty, a stepmother whose presence remains contentious, no matter how many years pass, a brother who has completely walked away from the crown, a media-saturated public more divided than ever about the relevance of royalty. Maintaining the monarchy's long-term legitimacy, in William's view, requires more than just public support. It requires internal clarity, strict adherence to lineage, and absolutely uncompromising boundary setting. Camilla, from his perspective, had begun to blur those lines. Her growing influence with King Charles, her attempts to introduce her family into royal settings, her quiet but consistent push to be recognized not just as a consort, but as a maternal figure in a new royal era. All of it, according to William, threatened the sanctity of the crown, the very thing he believes his mother dedicated her life to protecting. So when Camilla asked for Tom's inclusion at the gala, William didn't see a simple request. He saw a test, a quiet assertion of influence, and he responded not with emotion, but with a move that communicated volumes without saying a word. By denying Tom access, William sent a clear and purposeful message. Royalty is acquired through lineage and duty, not through association. There would be no expanded inner circle. There would be no redefining what the royal family looks like based on marriage or convenience. For William, the monarchy's survival depends on retaining its distinct identity shaped over centuries of lineage, responsibility, and sacrifice. Insiders say William has made decisions like this before, and it won't be the last. Since taking over the Duchy of Cornwall, he's introduced measures that prioritize streamlined spending, reduced favoritism, and greater transparency. Longtime appointees from the Charles and Camilla era have had their positions quietly moved or eliminated. William is building a monarchy that's leaner, cleaner, and far less susceptible to personal influence. To the public, he remains the composed modern heir, a husband, a father, a future king. But beyond the palace gates, William is something else entirely, a tactician meticulously narrowing the royal circle, defining its future shape, and ensuring that when he ascends to the throne, the institution reflects his vision rather than his father's compromises. Camilla may wear the crown, but in William's realm, her authority is symbolic rather than strategic. She's a figurehead, not a policymaker. And no matter how close she is to her family, they will never touch the levers of actual Windsor power. What makes this whole situation so striking is how completely Camilla has been silenced by it. No statements, no rebuttals, no carefully placed interviews. Those closest to her say the toll is visible. The composure is still there, but the spark has dimmed. A woman who once fought so hard to prove her worth now moves more carefully, more quietly, as if she's fully aware that she will never truly own the institution she worked so hard to join. Because William has made it unmistakably clear that Diana's legacy will not be erased, not by time, not by title, and certainly not by Camilla's family. This isn't tabloid drama. It's a gradual strategic power shift that has left Camilla increasingly isolated in the palace she once thought she had finally conquered. Her influence, which was on the upswing for years, is now in visible decline, and William's message grows louder with each quiet act of exclusion. This monarchy runs on bloodlines, not branches. Camilla may have married the king, but she will never be his son's queen. And honestly, when you look at the sequence of events, the gala, the contract termination, the pattern of quiet but irreversible decisions, it becomes clear that William isn't reacting to individual requests. He's executing a vision of the monarchy that has no room for the family his father married into, and he's doing it with a kind of calm, unapologetic resolve that leaves no doubt about who will actually shape the future of the House of Windsor.